We begin with Geography, second chapter, globes, latitudes and longitudes, and we take up now the third part of the explanation. Today we'll be doing heat zones of the earth. Now as you can see, the chart has been given to you here. Now we will be doing this chart beginning from here, that is the torrid zone. Now let us see the degrees of the torrid zone. It is 23.5 degrees north to 23.5 degrees south, that is covering the Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. Please come to this map. Now Tropic of Cancer 23.5 degrees north, Tropic of Capricorn 23.5 degrees south. Now this orange belt is the torrid zone covering the equator till Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. This whole is the torrid zone, that is the hottest zone. Let us see the features of it. Torrid means hot. Areas within this zone experience vertical rays of the midday sun at least once a year. Temperatures are high throughout the year with very little difference between summer and winter. So now, as the word torrid tells you, torrid means hot, and here it is the hottest because the rays of the sun, they are falling directly over this area throughout the year. So most of the time throughout the year this area is hot and very warm. Now we move on to this belt. Can you see this yellow area here and here? Now this lies between, this is the north temperate zone lying between Tropic of Cancer, that is 23.5 degrees north, to 66.5 degrees north, that is Arctic Circle. Now between this Arctic Circle and Tropic of Cancer is the north temperate zone. Then since this is in the south, Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle. This area is known as south temperate zone. You need to see the degrees also. These are the important latitudes which are demarcating the heat zones. Now over here in these two areas, the rays of the sun fall slanting. Then comes the frigid zone, which is the coolest zone. This is the north frigid zone and this is the south frigid zone. Now north frigid zone covers the Arctic Circle, 66.5 degrees north to the 90 degrees north pole. And here in this area, it is frigid zone lies between Antarctic Circle, 66.5 degrees south to 90 degrees south north pole. This is the frigid zone. Here it is given also frigid zone, torrid zone and temperate zone. Torrid is the hottest, temperate are the slanting, mild, moderate, and these are the coolest. Frigid are the coolest. Now we'll read about them in detail here. We read about the torrid. Now we read about the north temperate zone, that is this area we are going to read about. So north temperate zone says 23.5 degrees north to 66.5 degrees north, just between the Tropic of Cancer to Arctic Circle. Zone of moderate climate. Sun rays are slanting, hence it is neither very hot nor very cold. Now we come to the south temperate zone, that means this area here, and we read about it. 23.5 degrees south to 66.5 degrees south, covering the area between Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle. Moderate climate both in north and south temperate zones. Days are longer in summers and shorter in winters. Now the last is the frigid zone. In the northern frigid zone, it is lying in the 66.5 degrees north to the north pole, 90 degrees north, covering the area Arctic Circle to north pole. It is the coldest in winter. Sun does not rise for 6 months at poles and does not set for 6 months in summers. Coming to the frigid zone in the southern area, it is 66.5 degrees south to 90 degrees south, Antarctic Circle to the south pole. It is again the coldest zone. Rays of the sun are always slanting. So now let's go to the wordology. Lines of longitudes are also called meridians, derived from the Latin word meri, a variation of meridius, which means middle or median, meaning day. The word once meant noon. or midday. Now, as we know, there's longitudinal lines, they run throughout, and whichever part of the sun, supposing this is the sun, they have to face the sun as the earth is spinning once in the entire day, 24 hours. Every meridian crosses the sun and faces the sun, and it has 12 noon at one time. So that is why the meridians are also known as latitudes are also known as meridians, and which means midday. We now take up importance of latitudes. Latitudes help us to determine location of places and their relative distance. I told you about longitudes also, so is for latitudes. Both latitudes and longitudes help in determining the location of a particular place. Latitudes help us to determine the earth, demarcate the earth into heat zones based on similar temperature conditions between the latitudes. Now, all the areas in this latitude, these are the latitudes, and the areas lying in each latitude, they will be determining the position, that they will be having the same kind of temperature, and the conditions will be more or less same because they are in the heat zones. We can determine the general temperature and climate of a place with the help of latitudes. Now, the areas lying between these latitudes will be the hottest, areas lying here will be moderate, and areas lying here will be the cool ones. So according to the latitudes, we know the places lying here or here or here will be the coolest. Places lying here, here or here will be the hottest. So all these places determine the latitudinal heat zones. Accordingly, they could be demarcated. It helps us to form an idea about the vegetation and wildlife of a place. Now, the kind of heat it has will definitely tell you what kind of vegetation could be grown here. Places where it is cold and the places are covered with snow, they won't have that vegetation which you can see here and here. So that way, in that way, the heat zones demarcate the vegetation. In that way, the latitudes demark the vegetation and wildlife of a particular place.